We will call this meeting of the Georgetown City Council to order. At this time, we'll have a word of silence. Thank you. We'll ask Councilwoman Brent to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. On Once again, I want to welcome everyone here to the Georgetown City Council business meeting for July the 22nd, 2025. At this time, Madam Clerk, we have roll call.
Mr. Allen? Mrs. Wilkins-Brent?
Here.
Mrs. Butcher-Conway?
Here.
Mrs. Hampers?
Present.
Mr. Hampton?
Here.
Mr. Showalter? Mr. Stone?
Here.
Mrs. Tackett?
Here.
Thank you. Council, you should have received a motion for the approval of the minutes of the last meeting.
Motion, Mayor.
Motion made by Ms. Tackett. Do I have a second? Second. Second made by Mr. Hampton. Are there further questions and/or comments? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise. Let the record reflect that the motion passed. You should have received in your packet the check registry. If you have received those, please raise your hand. Thank you. Let the record reflect that all received. At this time, we have public comments. A reminder that no public comments. You have 4 minutes, which to state your business before council. And also, the Madam Clerk will keep that time. She will alert you when it gets close to that 4-minute mark. Please be respectful of that at that time, and that so we can continue on with that. At this time, we have Terry, last name here, is it Richards? Richards, okay, thank you. Ms. Richards, please, if you also state your name too, please, thank you.
My name is Terry Richards. Did you want address or?
No, ma'am, no, just
We're
name is good, thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, this is my first rodeo, so if I do the wrong thing, please correct me. And you want me to just read my letter, sir? Is that the easiest way to go? All right. I'm commenting on the proposed business park at the location of the Wiley Farm. I am commenting, including some of the comments from Mr. Dwight Lewis. Several of our local leaders are promoting the advantages of a regional business park proposed for the Wiles Farm. A key claim is it is a tax windfall for Georgetown and Scott County. However, recently released information by Georgetown's Chief Administrative Officer, Devone Golden, shows that 60% of the revenue generated by the park will be set outside of Scott County, leaving the city and county governments to share the remaining 40%. We would remember that to attract businesses to relocate to these projects, extensive state and local tax concessions are typically offered and extend for many years. Thus, it is likely to be a long time before Georgetown and Scott County governments see a positive cash flow from this project. In the meantime, the taxpayers of Scott County will incur 100% of the ongoing costs to provide fire and safety services, as well as municipal services. A development plan that includes realistic cost benefit must be put before the people prior to moving forward. And further, a rational comparative site analysis needs to be brought before the taxpayers prior to any fiscal commitments. In short, I don't approve of this particular project. Thank you for letting me read this.
Thank you.
Welcome. Michael Crisp.
All right. Hi, good evening, everybody. I read a recent article in the Lane Report that was published on July 18th that there is a company called the Nuclear Company that is going through the Midwest scouting locations to build power plants, nuclear power plants. And July 27th, they are coming to the area to take a look around and kind of see perhaps if Central Kentucky has a spot that might make for a good power plant. Now, when I found this out, I immediately looked up the BP1 zoning, and according to the BP1 zoning, energy plants and production facilities are specifically noted as permitted uses in BP1. And then there's an odd section in the comp plan about hydrogen energy as well. So, you know, even if they don't select Georgetown and this proposed business park as a nuclear, power plant area, I find it pretty concerning that it's allowed through BP1 to do something like this. I just wanted to voice that and see if the council also shares that concern, and if we can count on you guys, to protect us from putting something like that in that proposed park. I look forward to hearing what you have to say about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Polly Singer Early.
Hello, my name is Polly Singer Erdley. Thank you all for allowing us to have these comments. This is such an important issue that's before you. It's one of the most important ones I've seen in a long time. It's going to affect our community for years to come, forever. Once it's bulldozed and blacktopped, it can't be redone. I'm going to read some comments from Lindsay Cruz, who had wanted to be here tonight. She's unable to. Her concerns were the following. We live near Lanes Run. It's over 20 years old and is still not at total capacity. What will happen when this business park is also not at capacity? What will Berea, Richmond, Madison County, and Fayette County all want to do? We only have 1/3 of the vote. We are not in that powerful of a position. She said she was told by an elected official we needed to increase revenue, but only 40% is going to remain here. Anybody that has a business would tell you that's a bad business call. You do all the work and you only get 40% of the revenue. Better ways to increase our revenue and keep it in our backyard. Once you pour concrete, you can't go back. Somebody said, what is the younger generation? What do they want Scott County and Georgetown to look like? Let's ask them. I'm 61 years old, so I'm quite a ways over that. But she's in her 30s, and she said, I can tell you as the younger generation, we don't want this. We're okay with growth. We're fine with that. But this industrial park is not the way to go. In an open records request, it was shown that this project may actually span to 1,000 acres. Where's the transparency? Where's the transparency? There's so much secrecy. Please think long and hard about the ramifications of this. Choose wisely. Your choice will affect Georgetown and Scott County forever. And it's obviously, too, a big year for other people to make choices, too, in November. So just remember that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Aaron Shu.
Good evening, Erin Shu, 108 Arrowhead Court. You guys know why I'm here. I was really glad to hear the presentation on the regional economic development at the July 8th meeting. There was a lot of useful new information and it led to some really pertinent questions. The request was made at that meeting to provide responses to those questions publicly posted prior to this meeting tonight. I checked at 11:30 this morning, nothing on the website. Checked at 4 p.m., nothing on the website. It's troubling to me that this project has been in progress since June of 2023, but basic information such as the proposed allocation of revenue was just presented to this council on July 8th of 2024, ahead of a deadline of July 27th. The items that were still being worked out as of July 8th included how the land inside the bypass would be subdivided, protections for the historic building on site, the makeup of the park authority that would be in charge of this whole thing, KPDI funding, potential tenants, and the actual allocation of revenue. Items that were also unknown as of July 8th but supposed to be presented prior to this meeting tonight included the current city revenue from Lanes Run, keeping in mind that we would only see a small portion of that in the current project, performance of other regional parks in Kentucky, the effect of the park authority performance on regional partners' bond ratings, initial and estimated ongoing service costs to the city, and potential revenue expectations for the city. To summarize, we don't know who's running it, whether the funding is coming in, how much it will cost, risk to the bond ratings, or how much it's forecast to make. But we need to decide by Saturday. I'm a working mom with a corporate job. If I proposed a project like this based on this information to my leadership, it wouldn't fly. This is not how business is done. There are forecasts and assumptions somewhere. They just aren't being shared. Of course, I want opportunity for my kids. And sure, there will be 5,000 kids graduating. I get that. But go back to the paper trail. The project funding interest form states a total job creation of 1,400 by 2040. Making the big assumption that all of these jobs go to Scott County graduates, that's still 3,600 kids unaccounted for. This development isn't going to solve that issue. If you haven't watched the recording of the July 11th planning meeting, please do. The community showed up. It was standing room only. The overflow was full. There were people in the lobby. They made their wishes very clear. One resident stated beautifully that this project is about the balance we want between growth and quality of life. We live here and we stay here because of quality of life, because of the history, the natural beauty, and the community. There are almost 750 members of the Friends of Great Crossing Facebook page now. I hope that the council will consider our wishes. Thank you for your time.
Steve Glass.
Good evening. Council, Mayor. My name is Steve Glass, 143 South Hamilton Street, Georgetown, Kentucky. And I wanted to talk about the Regional Economic Development Project. You know, Georgetown participating in this is kind of like being invited to a fish dinner. But the conditions are you gotta provide the land, buy the bulldozer, dig the lake, let the rain fill the lake up, stock the lake. When the fish get big enough, you could catch the fish, take them home and fry them, and then share it with a lot of other people. So I don't exactly think that this is comparable to Toyota, because when Toyota came here, that fish dinner was served, ready to eat. The state, Toyota put it together, and Georgetown had the project ready. So we can't compare the state's participation in a project like this to this one, because there's going to be a lot of unknown and costs that we're going to have to bear. This is called a shovel-ready project. I think the first use of shovel-ready was when President Obama came into office, the economic stimulus that was provided. And he even admitted later on that was exaggerated, that wasn't exactly a good description of what was going to happen. And the reference to the 5,000 jobs, 5,000 graduates in the next 5 years. I know one job they can have, and that's mine. Another 5 years, hopefully I'll be retired. I mean, it's not a glamorous job, but it pays the bills. So what my point is that without this project, the economy is going to take care of itself as far as providing jobs through retirements, through growth. So throwing this scare word out that we're going to lose the best and the brightest if we don't build this is not true. Besides, the best and the brightest are going to probably want jobs different from those. We mediocre people need consideration too. So anyway, thank you all very much. And
Thank
have a good
you.
evening.
Ms. Jean Pauley.
I go by Katie Pollard. And if you could take one and pass one, it's just a simple brochure that comes from the Division of Water. My name is Katie Polley. I'm a Scott County resident, and I want to thank you for your time for listening to us tonight. There's been a lot of discussion about preserving farmland, especially as it relates to the Wiles Farm development. As a producer myself, and as one put some of the younger generation, there's not many young agricultural producers in our county, but there are a few. With that, I have professional work experience with the Scott County Conservation District, the Scott County Agricultural Investment Program, as well as receiving my degree in sustainable agriculture from the Wendell Farming Program. So I have a few questions. And with that, as an agricultural landowner and producer, I am required by law, by the Kentucky Agricultural Water Quality Act, in which I just passed out to you all, if you as a landowner purchase 10 acres or more in Kentucky, or you have any livestock or agricultural production on that land, if it is less than 10 acres, it is required by the KRS 224.71, I can give that to you after if you want it, law that you're required to have a Kentucky Ag Water Quality Plan. With that being said, this land is zoned agricultural still, as far as I'm aware, so I think it should at least uphold these laws. And with that, you have to create a plan and have it on file with the Scott County Conservation District. If I fail to follow my plan that I have, and that is filed at the Scott County Conservation District, the Division of Water would be able to fine me and penalize me if my water were ever to be contaminated and my plan not followed. My question is, the Wiles property, when purchased, was zoned agricultural and has 1.6 miles of Elkhorn Creek frontage. What is the documented water quality plan for this proposed development? How is the runoff from this proposed industrial business park, as well as the subdivided portions that will be residential, going to be handled? If my cattle on my property are subject to these regulations, a government-funded development with direct frontage to a tributary of our primary local water source, the Elkhorn Creek, certainly should be. If the property business is not found to be in compliance, who is responsible to address the preventable damages? I'm a planner, and the old saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, holds true here. If I and my fellow farmers are required to be proactive in preventing and contaminating the soil and the water through agricultural practices, then an industrial mega site should be proactive to addressing these issues long before ground is broken on this project. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Caitlin Tudor.
Good evening. My name is Caitlin Tudor. I'm pretty sure everybody knows who I am by now. I'm going to kind of briefly reference what has already been said. We don't need to repeat it, as we were told at Planning and Zoning last time. However, what I do want to say as kind of a rebuttal to the brand new information that was given just 2 weeks ago, which is fabulous. It was terrific information. I was very, very appreciative that it was presented finally, after asking for additional information for a very long time. It was stated that the moms, who I typically kind of reference a lot in what I speak about, want their kids to be employed, stay in town, all of that great stuff. Sometimes, I have two 20-year-olds, and I can honestly tell you, if Toyota and Georgetown's not where they need to be, then by God, they don't need to be here. And I don't want to hold them back. Toyota is literally the largest manufacturer in the state with the highest wages, and I can promise you there are a lot of families in Georgetown and surrounding areas that are suffering currently in this economy and aren't making it on Toyota salaries. So without knowing what this industrial regional park is going to be, what it's going to have, knowing that it's years down the road in the making, how in the world can you say that this job production and growth is going to provide enough for our families to counter what we currently have? And like Mr. Glass said, it's going to be rotating. It's already been rotating. People have been retiring from Toyota at 25, 30, 35, now 40 years. It's going to continue to rotate. There will always be job opportunities in Georgetown, and it will continue to bring people into Georgetown. The quality of life with industrial and manufacturing work is pretty rough. I don't know if any of you have ever been married or currently married to anybody at Toyota, but it's rough. In a previous life, I was, and it was rough, and I don't recommend it to anybody. It's long hours, it's mandated overtime, it's hard to balance family life, and if you're really trying to bring people in, don't fit them in a box exclusively to manufacturing or industrial. It's a really, really hard life. People showed up at Planning and Zoning, like hardcore showed up. It was better than this turnout. And they repeatedly, despite being kind of pushed down a little bit, spoke out against the regional, against the comp plan, against all of that stuff. And Planning and Zoning still voted for it. That's really, really upsetting and discouraging. To know that so many people in our community are against something and our local government is continuing to push that agenda is really, really upsetting. And like somebody else said, November's coming, and it is an election year. So I strongly urge each of our council members to think about that, because a lot of people are not okay with what's going on right now, and more people are paying attention. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kristen Chilton.
Good evening, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I have not been to very many of the other meetings, but I have watched them online or through YouTube. So I agree with everything that's been said here previously before me, but just a couple of other things I kind of wanted to mention. Just to give you a perspective, I live at 280 Robinson Lane, so I live in the old house that's right across from the Robinson Dam. I've been there 20 plus years, and I will tell you, since I moved there 20 years ago, the place has become a circus. And I mean that is because Elkhorn Creek has become such a popular destination spot. We used to have a few fishermen would come in every once in a while, older generation, mostly Scott County people. Now, it's a lot of young people, kayaking, canoeing, fishing, even a lot younger, like people bringing their grandkids, and they're not even coming from Scott County. They're coming from a lot of other counties and even from out of state. So Elkhorn Creek is getting to be known and is getting to be what I would consider a destination spot if you want to do outdoor activities like this. So, since that all has happened, and it's my private problem, but parking's become an issue because that's not, quote, a park there, it's just an access. We've been blocked out of our driveway for people parking. We have to barricade people off of our grass to stop them from parking all over the grass. So it's been every year it just seems to get worse and worse and worse. And I know somebody recently talked about Great Crossing, how many people were there on the weekends and all the trash that was left. Same thing we have to deal with is trash constantly left behind. The area that we're talking about, this industrial park, to me at this point, with the two high schools plus Elkhorn School, all the residential areas, seems to me not maybe an ideal location for an industrial park due to all of the residential area, Elkhorn Creek, and just due to all of the schools and kids. It seems like that area, maybe not even all of that property, but at least a good portion of it may be able to be designated as more of a park, since we already have Great Crossing. We've got the new ball fields, backs up to the high school, across from the high school. I know the word compromise right now in the world that we live in is not necessarily always talked about, but there might be some ways to compromise on this situation where we could have the best of both worlds. So if you look back in history, and I know we're not New York City, but if you look back before Central Park was developed, or when somebody came up with the idea to develop Central Park was in 1858, at that time there was nothing in that area but land. They decided to develop that to give the people who lived in the city an opportunity to go to the country and get to enjoy the resources that were there and to build that park. And then now the city has obviously grown around Central Park, but look what that has done for New York City. People travel from all over the world to go to Central Park. So we're looking at building an area here where we have lots of residential areas, lots of schools, and it's sort of the same thing. We're kind of building around this piece of property. So that was one, and another example of that would be Jacobson Park in Lexington. When Jacobson Park was first developed, there was nothing out Richmond Road, nothing outside of New Circle Road. And now I happened to drive past there the other day on a Saturday, and that place was absolutely packed with people because, just like what we're talking about, development has now totally encircled Jacobson Park. So we talked about compromise a little bit. Even if we end up doing residential, we do industrial business, people like to be able to get outside during their lunch breaks. They like to be able to go for a walk. They like to be able to have lunch out when it's a nice day. So I'm sorry, is it up? Okay, thanks. I just want to say take advantage of your natural resources that are already here.
Thank you. All right.
I can't relate, so it's on the.
Okay.
passing that down. My name is Dan Holman, and I'm from Georgetown. I emailed the council a letter similar to this one earlier today. I'll just read this letter. And this is related to the regional park, but it's more specifically about the other agenda item tonight, which is the KEDFA funding of the Goodwill Center, which I think they're related. The same people are involved in these projects, and there's some crossover. Dear City Council, the Goodwill Industries of Kentucky project on the agenda tonight regarding the topic of KEDFA funding is of ethical, legal, and economic concern. An LLC in Lexington bought the 2.35 acres of land across from Kroger in front of Ashton Grove Senior Living for $1 million last December, and without having made any improvements to it, sold the land in June, a few weeks ago, to Goodwill Industries of Kentucky for $2 million, a $1 million markup. The LLC is registered to Greg Leverage in Lexington. Greg, along with Andy Barr's brother Peter, is a founder of Block Plus Lot, a real estate company on Short Street in Lexington. A key employee at Block Plus Lot and founder of MWM Consulting, that's directly next door on Short Street, is Lucas Witt. Lucas Witt is a former employee of the State Cabinet for Economic Development. He's also the son of the Fayette County Sheriff Kathy Witt. Additionally, Lucas is the Madison County Supplied Project Manager, whose job is to coordinate all the various players together regarding the Wiles Farm Regional Authority project that's focused on the interest and monetary goals that multiple political and private entities have regarding tapping into the economy of Georgetown, which I think that's summary what the groups are trying to do. They're trying to tap into our economy. Shenanigans like this by Lucas Witt and his friends to mark up state-funded project $1 million and funnel the money to themselves is not economic development. Rather, it's sleazonomic development and possibly thiefnomic development. Questions arise about who was involved in engaging the scheme. Was Goodwill involved, and they agreed to buy this inflated piece of land in return for someone within the company receiving a kickback? Was Goodwill not involved, but they were naively led by their noses by Lucas Witt and his friends towards this particular piece of land prepared and marked up for them to buy and apply for KEDFA funding? If looking at other deals in other places involving Goodwill and or associates of Lucas Witt's, has this pattern occurred before? Either way, this deal betrays the economy of Georgetown in that the markup leads to citywide real estate inflation, making things more expensive for everybody. The city of Georgetown should not cause itself to be complicit in this sleazy scheme and should not pass tonight's resolution requesting the city's endorsement of the funding. Instead, the council should call for an investigation and full explanation of facts surrounding this real estate and KEDFA deal involving Leverage Real Estate Company, LLC, and Goodwill Industries of Kentucky. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your comments. At this time, we'll go to item number 6, which is the event application. Item A is the Georgetown College Move-In Day.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. My name is Randy Jones. I'm the Director for the Department of Campus Safety for Georgetown College. We have submitted an application for our August 17th freshman move-in prior to commencement of our fall semester. We are specifically requesting Memorial Drive, College Street, Mulberry Street, and Jackson Street from Mulberry to Dudley Avenue to be closed just to facilitate ease of movement for the incoming freshmen and a lot of nervous parents, and to assist them through the orientation process.
Mayor, I'll make a motion for this. I've been through that, so looking at their map, it's not changed any. It's a nightmare any way they try to deal with it. So.
All right.
Thanks.
Motion.
Second.
Okay. We'll flip a coin. Who's going to take? No. Okay. Thank you. So, motion made by Mr. Stone, second by Ms. Brent. Are there further questions and/or comments to this motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say likewise. Let the record reflect that the motion passed.
Thank you, sir. Looking forward to seeing you back on campus.
All right.
Not me. I'm done. Okay. Cycling Foundation. Okay.
Hi. I'm Jennifer Wheeler, and I'm the owner and founder of Fount Cycling. We are proposing to have a cycling event in Lanes Run Business Park on Sunday, the 15th, on a closed circuit course on Enterprise and Corporate. We've worked diligently with the Tourism Commission, Country Boy Brewing, who's going to help sponsor it, Georgetown Police, including Mitch Lair, Rick from Public Works, and the Business Park Authority, and along with USA Cycling to sanction the race and have officials and referees, and provide $2 million of general liability insurance to all the businesses. And so I guess my proposal is that you guys approve this, or if you have any other additional questions about what is this, I'm here, so.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Ms. Brent, second made by Ms. Conway. Are there further questions and/or comments? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise. Let the record reflect that the motion passed. Thank you.
I hope to see you guys there. It's family friendly.
All right.
There is an item added to the agenda on the events portion, and that's Caleb Conley 5K run.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Doyle. I'm the executive director of Caleb Conley Foundation. I just got a couple of things I'm requesting. September 22nd, 8:30 a.m., and that's a Sunday. And we're having a 5K out at the industrial park near Country Boy. I don't know the name of that industrial park off the top of my head. Beginning at 7:30, I will need Enterprise at Cynthiana, Corporate at Cynthiana, and Enterprise at Endeavor blocked off. We'll have assistance from Scott County Sheriff's Office with that. And then I will also need barricades to help with like crowd control and road closure, as well as the street swept the night before, just on our run route. And I can email that over to you.
Tracy, do you have all the information you need?
In fact, I've sent it to you guys.
What?
It's on your calendars. I sent it to you, but it didn't make the agenda. But I have everything, yes.
Okay.
Mayor,
I'll second it, Mayor.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Hampton, second made by Ms. Tackett.
Was there a conflict with another?
No.
Okay, I misread that then. Thank you.
Are there other further questions and/or comments? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say likewise. Let the record reflect that the motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
A couple of updates from mayor comments. The Colony Boulevard left turn lane, which some of you probably, just give you a little history on that. You know, last year we've been brought to the attention that trying to get a left turn lane put in the Colony Boulevard because of the issue of, you know, when schools, you know, checking out, coming in and leaving, the issue of backup along that roadway of Colony Boulevard. So it was brought to this council to see if something can be done to add a turn lane, in which we okayed to do, and we'll let you know that that project is completed and it's working and it's done well before school started. So that's a good thing, and this will alleviate a lot of the traffic issues that occurs in that area. I can talk, you know, firsthand with that because I used to live in the colony, and coming out when school in the morning or even in the afternoons, if you don't get down to that right lane turn before everybody else, if you gotta wait for somebody in that left lane, you're gonna be there a while. So this will be good for them. Also, we on the center of town, we took upon ourselves, this council, which did a great job with that, is putting a parking facility in to alleviate some of the parking, which because of the construction going on with City Hall, also with the Pavilion Farmers Market, which is going on, and soon to be later on will be the new Justice Building. So a lot of the parking spots were taken because of these projects going on. So it came to this council that would there be another way in which we could at least alleviate some of the pressures of not having a parking for people in the downtown area. So we, as you know, pave the center of town. And it allowed somewhere between, I think, 40 to 45 new parking spaces. And that can be used for the public, but also talking with Judge Covington, he's trying to make sure that the people that works in the county building to use that facility to park over there will free up some spaces so people can actually use some of the area that's in that parking lot that's not being used. So at that time. And the farmers market completion will be somewhere around November. They feel that to be done completely. City Hall, it is still on task and it's still set to be, fingers crossed, nothing happens. It's going to set to be opening up in the spring of 2025. And the question was asked by council as for the demolition of the green building. This council, by the next meeting, which will be August the 12th, will be bringing you a proposal because we have got the bids back and they're doing their due diligence of actually checking to make sure everything is up and legit. And so this council will have that at that time. Also, the lot on the corner of Broadway and Clayton Avenue, as you all know, that was where it came to our attention that they wanted to use that for a storage place while they're doing some work. I think Columbia Gas was doing it, but they outsourced that to Pfister to do that. And the problem was that if they were looking for a place where it did the least amount of disruption with their equipment, they could take their equipment and put it and probably take up 3 or 4 streets. And it made sense in a good gesture on our part to allow them to do at that one location. They will make sure that everything is put back the way it was when that's completed. And we're looking somewhere in September for them to have that all completed. All right? Next, excuse me, we have item A, resolution for the KEDFA referral for Goodwill Industries of Kentucky Incorporated. Now, I'll give you a little content on this. They approached the mayor's office on this, and so I invited them here to come and talk to the council and give information and to answer any questions that you may have about this particular resolution. So, Laura, if you would come up with your staff.
Thank you, everybody. Hi, my name's Laura Thielman. I'm with Frost Brown Todd Law Firm in Louisville, Kentucky, and I am serving as bond counsel for Goodwill. And so, first of all, I shouldn't have to hopefully tell you all about Goodwill and the good works that they do in the communities in and around Georgetown and the state in general. But Goodwill is a nonprofit Kentucky corporation and a 501c3 organization. And as a 501c3 organization, they are allowed under the tax code to issue for their benefit tax-exempt bonds, which lowers the interest rate and the borrowing cost to them. And every few years, Goodwill issues bonds for multiple projects across the state of Kentucky, you know, from Paducah to Pikeville and everywhere in between. Goodwill is part of their strategic plan. They are ready to issue some debt. And the debt will do 2 things. It will refund bonds that were issued back in 2013, and then it will finance several new projects, new donation retail centers in various communities, one of which we hope will be in Georgetown. So essentially how we get to you all is that Goodwill reaches out to me with their strategic plan, and they say these are the projects that we can move on the most quickly. And under the tax-exempt bond rules, it's very important that they spend their money quickly and that they be so far down the road. For example, own the property, the zoning is appropriate. You know, there are various and sundry requirements. So we want to make sure they can spend their money appropriately. And then I reached out to the mayor in those various communities and say, we would like to come before the council for a referral resolution. We're not asking the city to issue bonds. There will be no liability. There will be no responsibility. There will be no payments due from the city. If you all choose to adopt this resolution tonight, you'll never see us again. There'll be no documents to sign. And what we will do is we will take your resolution along with the other resolutions we're getting from the other jurisdictions. And as it relates to the refunding projects and the new money, it'll be in excess of 30 different sites. And we'll take those to KEDFA. And KEDFA can issue bonds, and it's more practical for them to do so when the projects span multiple jurisdictions and counties. It's a lot more cost effective than us asking you to issue bonds for your project and Paducah to issue bonds for their project. And because it's a larger dollar amount, it attracts better investors and better sellers, keeping the interest rate low for Goodwill, and so they can use their money to further their nonprofit mission. It's a statutory requirement that KEDFA get this referral resolution from all the jurisdictions. It's very similar if you've worked with KEDFA or the Office of Financial Management in Kentucky, that when various incentives and the state's participation occurs in things, that they ask for types of inducement resolutions, if you're familiar with that term from other bonds, or we call this a referral resolution to KEDFA. It's like I said, it's a statutory act. The tax exempt bonds will help lower the interest rate. And as I believe it's stated in the resolution, but I'd like to reiterate that Goodwill is not asking you all to be the issuer of the bonds. KEDFA will be the issuer of the bonds. The city will have no liability for payment whatsoever, and no further action will be required from you all. Once hopefully you adopt that resolution tonight. The resolution has been reviewed and commented on by Ms. Buttram. And I have with me tonight John Eller, who is the Vice President Property and Facilities, and John Burnett, who's the Director of Property Acquisition. If you all have questions about that particular location, but like I said, this is a formality under the KRS in order for KEDFA to issue the bonds. We won't need anything else from you, and you all will be joining the other communities that are helping getting these projects bond financed. And like I said, your project is in the top of the list because it's one that Goodwill thinks they can move on quickly and get under construction. So from a bond standpoint, hopefully that gives you a little background on why we're here and what we're asking from you all, but I'm certainly happy to answer any questions. And then like I said, John and John, it'll be easy to remember, John and John are here and they can answer more specific questions you all might have about that particular site.
You want to need to ask?
How soon does this have to be done?
So KEDFA has, in the KEDFA process, we have to go to them twice. And so for the first meeting that we go to KEDFA, they don't necessarily need your resolution, but before the bond resolution is adopted, and we expect that to happen, I don't know, it's September, October-ish probably. And so they have authorized us, KEDFA has to go ahead, because Georgetown and one other community are the only two we lack. So we have the rest of them.
The reason I ask is because the residents at Ashton Grove asked about getting a traffic light to come in and out of there. Now we're going to add something else. And I think I just hope that the state has the wisdom to say, yeah, this is going to need a traffic light now. So we do need some information for that traffic committee meeting so that we can get the state to put a traffic light in there. Because we've already had one lady that walked across the road and got hit and killed. So there's a lot of wrecks at that intersection. So
I don't know if these gentlemen can speak about that. I obviously don't know. I will say that KEDFA does not explore those types of things related to any of their projects. KEDFA also has no liability on these bonds. They will be solely paid for, by Goodwill. And so they don't make those types of inquiries. And like I said,
I'm trying to look out for you and your patrons of your business.
Well, and most of the times when we come into communities, these sites that we're choosing are, great locations. And although I'm not familiar, and I find this hard to believe, John tells me that your all's Kroger is one of the most popular, high utilized Kroger in Kentucky, and I find that hard to believe because mine's crazy busy all the time too. So this was an attractive site for them because of the level of traffic and those types of things. So But like I said, I can't speak to the traffic aspect of that.
That's something we need to look at though, and get that put in there.
Yeah, and I will say that the site's been purchased, and it's going to be constructed. And so the hope is that we can use the lower interest rate from the tax exempt bonds to do that, as opposed to a higher conventional rate to do that. And like I said, this project, because of its location and because how far they are, they feel like they can get it done within the tax exempt bond rules. So, like I said, we would appreciate your assistance in that regard, but I can't help you with the traffic. But I understand those concerns.
Ms. Tackett?
Yes, I have a question. So does that mean Georgetown's going to have 2 Goodwills?
John, you want to take that?
Yeah, I was wondering that too.
So yes, I'm John Eller with Goodwill Industries. So we currently have our location on Lexington Road that we've been in since 2000. We are planning to relocate that to this new site where we'll be standalone. We'll just have a much better experience for our shoppers and donors. And also we'll have a dock. We'll have all the things that we expect in our newest stores really to help just that shopper and donor and employee experience.
Do you have a lot of parking already available there at your site for Goodwill?
So the current store does have it's part of a larger center. We have planned ample parking on this new site as well, that obviously when we go through to actually do permitting and approval and everything, we will submit all that to the city as part of that process.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I have.
Yeah, and obviously this process doesn't circumvent anything else that you all would have to do, as part of this construction in the ordinary course. I mean, that would continue on in its ordinary process.
How many jobs will this produce, or?
Roughly 50 to 60. A lot of them will come over, but this will be a larger store, much more volume. So we'll be able to hire more people and help more people, get back, get out of poverty and just improve their lives.
Are there further questions?
Motion, Mayor.
Second.
Excuse me, this is not the time for that. Thank you. Do I have a motion? Motion made. Second. Motion made by Ms. Hambrick, second made by Ms. Tackett. Are there further questions and/or comments? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say likewise. Let the record reflect that the motion passed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good evening.
All right. Next, on the regional economic development update, like I said, you all, in the last meeting, we brought you some information. We will continue to do that, and once we get that information, and we'll tell you next steps. We are working at that this week. We should have that uploaded to our website and other information, and some of the questions that council has asked and so on, I think has been put in your packet or close to that. So you want to talk about?
Yeah. The packet includes a memorandum that kind of just acknowledges the request, which I think is a good request, to have a dedicated page on our website. That page is built out and should be live by the end of the week. And the answers to some of those questions that the council posed at the last meeting, in addition to just high-level frequently asked questions, as well as a project overview, will be included. But Sarah, our IT liaison, has set it up so that a person can subscribe to that page. So if you want to get notifications when additional content has been uploaded, those notifications will get pushed. Appreciate her working on that. She's working on an upgrade to the website right now, so she's probably cursing us for throwing that on her plate. But that should be live at the latest by Friday. But I think, that timeline is included in that memo, which of course is included in the packet and is posted to our city website if anybody in the public wants to read that as well.
So in essence, just want to make sure that any updates we get on this, we'll make sure that the public gets information on that as we find out. Right? Next, we have the council committee reports, and I believe we have Public Works.
We do, Mayor. We met Wednesday at 11 a.m. Myself, Millie, Robert Bruin Shayfields, and Eddie Hightower were there. We approved the minutes. Mostly, Robert talked about he's been working on the dump truck pricing, and he's hoping to have that purchased by August or September. He's been checking around on salt boxes. He's working on that. The shed blacktop project was completed on 6/24, and we're looking at, gonna have to probably look at doing the parking lot later, but that does still need to be done. Let's see, Mayor already talked about Royal Springs and the house, and he's already talked about Colony Boulevard. And let's see, we are working on the TAP grant as well. And we're supposed to hear maybe something in September for the extension on West Main Street. And we kind of talked about the sidewalk program, and we're hoping to get that started again as well. And we worked on the change of personnel ordinance, which we're going to have the second reading on that tonight, and Robert explained that to us. That it's better to hire workers like that. If they want to get their CDL, then they would help them do that. But right now, they've got like 5, but they don't need them right now. And that's pretty much it for our Public Works, Mayor.
Thank you. Next, item number 9, Georgetown Municipal Water Sewer Service. Chase. Item A, Judy Construction for $1,315,762.57.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the pay app. It's our 39th pay app on a project for our wastewater treatment plant 1 upgrade and expansion. This is for work completed last month in June. And as our update video forecasted, we are very much transitioning the project from major concrete operations, almost completely done with those big concrete pours, placement of that structural concrete, and we're going to be transitioning now towards equipment installation as we work very diligently towards our goal of beneficial use of March next year, that we will be able to send new flow to the plant. This is a large number. We recognize this, but this is with the rate of work that is being complete. This the number that the mayor said, 1,315,762.57 cents. That is the monthly pay request for June of this year.
Second. Motion made by Mr. Hampton, second made by Ms. Tackett. Are there further questions and/or comments? All those in favor of Judy Construction in a sum of $1,315,762.57 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise. Item B,
Yes,
Judy
sir.
Construction for $184,428.
Okay, this is a change order related to our Rogers Gap Pump Station Replacement Project, and this project is, for all practical purposes, it's complete on construction. We've not closed it out yet, but one thing we wanted to address, we would like to add this change order into the scope of the construction project for Judy. And so I've got to talk about a few different projects to explain this, so please bear with me. On our South Sewer Extension project, we eliminated 3 existing, very aging, really reaching their useful service life pump stations. That's Edderwood, Bradford 1, Bradford 2, and we replaced those with 1 central regional pump station to gain efficiency in our system, gain efficiency in our cost, our operational cost. So we decommissioned those 3. One of those pump stations, Bradford 1, it had a on-site backup power generator, automatic transfer switch, ATS. We took possession of that because that part of that generator is still useful. And now what we would like to do is relocate that to the Rogers Gap Pump Station. When we bid this project, we took that work out because it was bid, it was over budget, so that was a value engineering part. Now we've got this generator, it's sitting, we're not using it. This would be a good spot for it, Rogers Gap Pump Station. All the wastewater flow from all the residential areas between Georgetown and Sadieville, going up Cincinnati Pike, as well as Sadieville, all flows through this station. And right now, our redundancy there is we have a emergency pump connection. If power goes out, we have to get an emergency pump out there to get that station back running. This would put a backup generator and transfer switch, so we would have automatic redundancy there in the event of a power outage. This project, no change orders thus far, it's done. And we think that this is a very good use of this equipment that we have sitting. And question left is, how do we pay for that? So I would take your attention to a third project, that's the Northwest Bypass water line extension. We've brought that project in. That one's almost closed out, almost 360-ish. It's a little bit more than that. I have it in your memo. $1,000 under budget, and so we would like to reallocate the funding, part of the savings on that project to fund this effort that we think is very well worth our efforts. So that's kind of what we're doing, how we anticipate paying for it, for your consideration.
Motion made by Ms. Conway.
I will second that, Mayor.
Second made by Ms. Tackett. Are there further questions and/or comments? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise. Let the record reflect that due to construction of sum of $184,428 pass.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Next, item 10 is the Chief Administrative Officer. First, we have the resolution for the year 25 regular scheduled meeting for City Council and committees.
So this is just a resolution kind of refreshing our regularly scheduled meetings. It notes the time and location for traffic committee, all the standing committees, interlocal committee, which is only a quarterly meeting, and then the city council meetings. We'll probably end up needing to come back before the next fiscal year, hopefully, assuming we're heading back into City Hall council chambers, but this just sets that scheduled to be available to the public.
Motion, Mayor.
Motion made by Ms. Tackett. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second made by Mr. Hampton. Are there further questions and/or comments? All those in favor of the motion, year 25 regular meeting schedule for City Council and committees, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise. Let the record reflect that the motion passed. Item B, municipal order, change order number 2, City Hall renovation project.
So we've got Elizabeth and Cade here again with us tonight. They were here and presented, I think it was 4 weeks ago, maybe 6 weeks ago. So all of the changes included in the change orders that are in your, well, now in front of you, were not in the packet because they weren't available yet. Those changes were all reviewed during that presentation, but they are here to answer questions if you have additional questions based on the actual change order forms. The second, change order number 2, as noted in the municipal order, is an extension of that first change order that we wanted to go ahead and get approved so that we could be ordering materials and not delaying any further. So that kind of finalizes that change order and is actually a credit. So that $16,000 in change will go back into the project contingency. And then obviously the third change order as well, not a credit on that one, but some changes that were necessitated by some window rot, some water infiltration, the discovery of original flooring that needs to be refinished to maintain the original aesthetic, essentially, of the building. But if you all have any questions on change order 2, I'll invite the experts to answer this.
Do we have questions? Anyone? Well, let's take them in order here. So the first one is item B, municipal order, change order number 2, City Hall renovation project. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion made by Ms.
Second.
Habbert, second by Ms. Tackett. Are there further questions and/or comments on this?
So the first change is a credit?
Correct.
That's correct. Are there any other questions? All those in favor of the motion, change order number 2, City Hall renovation project, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise. Let the record reflect that it passed. Item C, I need a motion to municipal order, change order number 3, City Hall renovation project. This was,
I have a couple questions, if it's okay now or after we make a motion.
I just need a motion. If you give me a motion.
I'll give you a motion.
Okay, motion made by Ms. Tackett. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second made by Ms. Habbert. Now, do you have further questions and/or comments?
Yes, I would like to know about, so this is a change order. I'd like to know how far are we in our contingency fund with this change order?
So I think, and Kate, feel free to jump in, I believe counting the credit from the second change order and then the add for change order 3, that puts the contingency back at just under 600,000, which we started with about 747, I believe,
Okay,
747,000.
round numbers are good. I'm
So just under
curious.
600,000 is where we're landing.
Connie, if I may, we're at 22.6% of the contingency.
Thank you. I don't do
Based
that
on
math
that.
in my head.
Yeah.
Thank you, Greg. Just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
If I can, when this, if these continue to happen and you burn through your contingency money, does the city have the furniture that came out of City Hall before to move back into the new City Hall?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, because burn through this contingency, there is no new money for the FF&E. I will not vote for it. This plan was put in place several years ago. I fought for a fire station. I fought for raises for the city employees. They said, nope, this project is locked in. The money's there. We've got it. You know, burn through that money. That's it. So I'm not going, this project shouldn't have happened. It should have been pushed back on the burner, in my opinion.
All right.
I have another question, if you don't mind, Mayor.
Yes.
I'd also like to ask you, I know that this has been all uncovered
Mhm.
because you've been going through and like gutting. So are we almost done with that, and are we about ready to like start rebuilding back?
Yes, so,
Okay.
and
So as of mid this week, we should wrap up all structural steel installation. And to expand off of that, once structural steel goes up, the shoring that you guys voted on back in January will be removed. And we'll continue with just interior framing and all the good stuff. So we expect windows to be in this week, and the blocking that is on, I believe, is at change order 3.
Mhm.
That will be installed along with all the windows as well coming up. So
Okay.
we're really getting through a lot of the dirty work. So
I know it was daunting.
well, the
but
one
thank
thing
you.
that's left, just so that you all are aware, some of the walls in the ground floor, which we have presented on previously, it just has not been a part of these change orders. The existing masonry walls, for the most part, the perimeter walls were furred out with partition walls that were built on top of a raised floor. So now that all of that has come out, we're having to take out some more of those furred walls than we had originally planned to. I think actually what is going to happen is there's really only one location where we have to put those walls back. In the other locations, provided that everything is okay structurally underneath there, they're going to remain exposed, which again lends itself to the history of the building and not an extra cost to put something back. So that is the one thing that we are working through right now that may be what I hope is the last of the like big found conditions that as we're taking things off the building.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr.
Yeah, just to follow, on the contingency, we're basically 23% into it. What percentage of the project is complete?
I'd say right now we're 35%. We've done a lot. I mean, a lot of it you guys aren't seeing. It's interior work. And once we get everything dried in and stuff, just to piggyback off of Elizabeth, I think most of the unforeseen conditions that will have been found or will have been found.
And that was my next question. So most of what you would say are unforeseen have pretty much been exposed.
Yes.
So the remaining contingency looks solid? Thank you.
I mean, that is definitely what we hope. For instance, when we took the metal cornice off, we found some concerns with the brick behind there. So we've now taken everything off the building to find where these issues are. Once we start going back with things, the hope is that there's nothing else to find. Although this building has had a few little jewels in there that we've uncovered. But yes, the hope is that we've uncovered all of the basic things, and now we're really at the point of we're putting everything back. And all of that putting back is what's accounted for already in the contract price.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I did a couple tours of the building and took me around, and I see that some of the work that y'all are doing to expose some of the the difficulties that y'all found. I noticed that y'all got the steel beams in. I think, as what you told me, once you get the steel all lined up and ready to go, I think the next thing is, like you said, putting things back together, and actually you can, hopefully in the next few months, you can actually see some type of hey, this looks like a building.
Yes.
Okay.
And you'll see right now where they're working on the roof right now. So the old roof has been removed and the ice and water shield what's up, and then the metal roof panels will start going on top of that. So you're gonna start seeing some things outside, especially when the windows start going on, or start going in as well. But then when we have updates, there'll be a lot more to see on the inside because those walls will start going up pretty quickly. Stuff with the finishes will start happening. All of the wood floors have been uncovered, and that work you'll start to see. So there will be a lot more, especially on the interior, for you all to see here within the next month or two.
Yeah, a month for sure.
Perfect.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I think we already had a motion.
Oh, did we? I'm
Yes, we
sorry.
did. We had a
I
motion and had
was
properly
in the middle of
second.
For number two?
Are there further questions and or comments to this motion? All those in favor of the motion, municipal order, change order number 3, City Hall renovation project, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise.
No.
Let the record reflect the motion pass.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Now I think I need a motion for the executive session.
Mayor, I have the motion. I move to go into closed session pursuant to KRS 61.8101B for deliberations on the prospective acquisition of real property for public use in connection with the Lexus Way Old Oxford Road Extension Project. The purpose of the closed session is to determine the price range for a possible purchase offer in a private sale or sales, the public discussion of which would likely be to affect the value of the subject property or properties.
Second, Mayor.
Motion is made and second. Are there questions and or comments? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise. At this time, we will ask that everyone please leave at this time.
Microphones off.
going? Okay, yes, I need a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion that we come back in out of executive session.
Motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Ms. Tackett, second made by Ms. Brent to come out of executive session. Are there further questions and/or comments? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise. We're back in session. Next, we have 11, Human Resource, second reading of the amendment for personnel ordinance, sponsors Millie Butcher Conway and Connie Tackett.
An ordinance amending Section 2-60 of the Code of Ordinances regarding personnel. Summary. 1, amends Exhibit B of Section 2-60 subsection C of the Code of Ordinances to decrease the number of maintenance driver positions from 6 to 5 and increase the number of maintenance worker positions from 9 to 10 within the Public Works Department, and to clarify total authorized position counts created by ordinance versus state law. 2, provides for repeal of inconsistent ordinances, severability of provisions, and effective date upon passage and publication. The full text of this ordinance is available for examination in the City Clerk's Office, 629 North Broadway, Georgetown, Kentucky, 40324, or at www.georgetownky.gov. Introduced and publicly read the first time July 8th, 2024. Publicly read the second time July 22nd, 2024.
Conway, second by Ms. Tackett. Are there further questions and/or comments?
I have a comment, Mayor. I just want to let you know that we did talk about this in Public Works, and this is going to help Robert as far as being able to hire people and bring people in, and we don't have to worry about CDL drivers, but if they want to learn to get a CDL, they're more than willing to help them. So is that pretty much it, Megan? Okay.
Okay, thank you. Are there further questions and/or comments? At this time, Madam Clerk, we have a roll call vote.
Wilkins Brent?
Yes.
Mrs. Butcher Conway?
Yes.
Mrs. Hambrick?
Yes.
Mr. Mr. Hampton?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mrs. Tackett?
Yes.
Let the record reflect that the motion passed. Thank you. Next, item 12, Fire Department Resolution for the Kentucky Fire Commission Grant Award. Chief, you want to come in and tell us a little bit about this, and for $3,500? Is that right?
We're always trying to pursue grant opportunities. We, the Fire Commission, have been very fortunate. This is from one set of fire gear. They're going to give us $3,500 to go toward a set, which is going to cover the majority of it, which works out well since we added the fire inspector position. This will allow us to be able to utilize that.
Okay. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Ms. Brent. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second made by Ms. Conway. Are there further questions and/or comments to this motion? All those in favor of the motion for the resolution, the Kentucky Fire Commission Grant Award, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise. At this time, item number 13, we have council comments, and I'm going to start, let's see, I'll start with Ms. Tackett.
Oh.
Mixing it up.
Mayor, right now, we have a lot of big things going on, and I'm pretty excited about it. I just want to say that I appreciate our first responders and what they do, police and fire, and our public works. We have a great team of directors in City Hall, and I'm very grateful for each and every one of you. I just want to let y'all know that, and in administration as well. So just want to say that, and thank you, Mayor, and that's all I have to say tonight.
Ms. Conway.
The only thing I would like to say is I would like to find out how it's going to get the street repaved from Water Street up West Main, where all that work was done with the rock. How's that going on getting that repaved? Because it's a bumpy ride.
Okay.
So if you could just kind of check on that, that'd be great.
Okay. Mr. Stone.
Yes, sir. The only thing I've got is, and I'm sounding like a broken record, the impact fees. Where are we at on those?
Impact fee, we are still doing our due diligence on that, and once we get that done, we'll make sure council knows that. But
Okay.
we're still working with the process on that.
You know. Okay.
All right, and we'll, Madam Clerk, put that down to, we'll get that. Mr. Hampton?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Just a couple of things. You know, appreciate all the public comments tonight, you know, regarding the business park and also the other items brought up. Really, you know, really like the public input. So the other thing was you addressed that in your mayor's comments, and that was the lot on the corner of Clayton and Broadway. So about how it looks and when we thought we would get it back. So
yeah,
that's it.
All right, Ms. Hambrick.
Yeah, I'm also thankful for public engagement, and I know that you all have been working diligently to get the website going live by Friday, and I appreciate that. It takes a lot of work, but it's a wonderful way to get information out to the public, so thank you.
I have nothing.
Okay, we have nothing. All right. If there's no further business brought before this council, this meeting is now adjourned.